Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Ant.
Together, we are Escape Everything Studios.
We make social media content both for clients and ourselves.
We run a YouTube channel with our mate Hamish called Escape Sessions.
We met 5 years ago and made our first film together soon after.
It was a spontaneous opportunity to make a film for a competition.
We met in a pub one evening and came up with an odd idea.
And a week later, we had a film.
Since then, we've made many films, from documentaries
to music videos and sessions
to short films and engaging social content for clients.
So, a couple of YouTube creators that we follow did this kind of thing as a podcast, Colin and Samir, and so we thought we'd do something like this because they said that it was kind of unique to find this kind of partnership, I guess. Yeah. And we found it quite unique as well. So we just thought it interesting to share about how a creative partnership kind of works.
Yeah.
So yeah, shall we tell people a little bit of a background on us and what we do?
You might as well go first.
We make films essentially.
Yeah. Social media content creators.
Yeah. So when it comes down to the films and the creative side of things, which is more what we're going to be talking about today, we have kind of our roles on set. Mm-hmm. You're more of a director. I'm more of a DP.
Yeah.
In general, obviously we've been so used to for ages doing kind of a bit of everything really. So we've evolved into those roles kind of very gradually. And then the roles in kind of pre-production and post-production are kind of still evolving. We still do a lot of the stuff jointly, so that's kind of how we fit in as a creative partnership, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Anything else that you want to add? What kind of stuff do we make?
We make mainly a lot of social media content for businesses and creative people, and we like to do our own little hobby kind of stuff, like in the background as well, keep our creative juices flowing. So we little films and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we run a YouTube channel called Escape
why have I
Sessions.
forgot about that? Yeah.
And that's kind of live music sessions.
Yeah.
So we sometimes do music video type stuff as well.
Yeah.
We
have a sound engineer that helps us do that as well, which is all good because we love collaborating.
I guess that's something that could be something that we talk about in the future because we've been collaborating, kind of the two of us, for a while now, about 5 years maybe now.
Yeah.
So and just recently we've been like kind of full on collaborating with a third person as well. So maybe that's the sequel to this.
The future.
Yeah, how we can work on a project with 3 people and what the challenges are because obviously we've built this relationship up over like 5 years. So maybe that's something for the future. But
and then after that 4 people.
And then 5 people. Yeah, but we'll have to get more cameras for that because we've just not got enough angles. We won't be able to physically create this. But yeah, so shall I go first with my question?
Yeah.
So did we say that we've each written kind of like some questions, and we're going to ask them to each other. We don't know what the questions are, so we're going to be seeing what happens basically. So my first question is, what do you think makes us create well together rather than separately? Like we could easily kind of create separately, but what do you think makes us create well together?
I think you're very good at organisation and planning and bringing something together that is actually possible, and then I'm kind of all over the place, sporadic, like crazy, and I think they kind of yin and yang and kind of mold together to create something that's really good.
Yeah.
Because then I'll be there going, crazy, and then you'll be like, yeah, okay, but now let's
make some
sense out of this. Yeah, so I think that's how we work. I think if we were both like the same, then I think nothing would happen. I think they need those two they kind of clash, but at the same way somehow work together, I think.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about this a bit before, haven't we? Because because I somehow bring like the realism thing to it and bring it back to a level that we can comfortably, well, not so much even comfortably, but we can actually create, because I don't think we tend to do stuff that we can, that just makes us feel comfortable all the time.
No.
So that's the wrong word really, but but then also like, I'm not really too much of like a realist, I guess, and keep bringing things back down. I guess maybe you're just so far off in the other way that
the way I mean it is like if I was like here's a story idea, then you'd develop it more, and then it would start like working, and then I'd be able to then start chucking in more crazy stuff.
Yeah,
it's like I think that's kind of how it works, kind of thing. And I guess you're like more of the technical as well, and I'm more, I don't know, just crazy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you want to go next?
All right. My question is, so it's a two-part question. What are the worst two things and the best two things working in a team and with me?
So working in a team in general to start off with.
And then working with me. So the worst first, because then we'll end on a positive.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure really, in terms of
I think
working in a team in general, like...
I think there's a thing in a team that's not only is it the worst thing, but it's also the best thing. It somehow is both the same things.
Yeah.
A certain thing.
I think that kind of links in with one of my questions, I guess, partly as well. Because when you create on your own, I guess there's nothing kind of holding you back in a way. You can just do it, and there's nothing to tell you that your idea needs work or anything. But then that's kind of a good thing about how we work together, because I guess we have, when we're coming up with an idea, there's a lot of things that we throw out that aren't any good.
We spent ages, like when we did that music video for Explorers, we went through weeks of changing the ideas, didn't we? Because we could have just done the idea that came up with, but because one of us was like, well, no, this won't work, so this, or that's crap. Yeah. And that I think that, we did such a good video, it wouldn't have been as good as that if it was just one of us, or... And
if we used, like, the first idea
idea, if we didn't properly, was, honest with each other, and weren't afraid to go to the other person, that's shit, we need to develop this more, or whatever.
Yeah. So I think...
And, sorry, so that's... I shouldn't be butting in it, it's your question, but I think one of the negative and positive things about working together is you've got that creative clash, which is a negative but also positive, because it can help develop the story, can't it, and make things work.
Yeah, I think it comes from the compromise as well, and put in, if you work on your own, there's no box around what you do, there's no guidelines or things that you need to kind of achieve. You can just make something, and that's it, which can sometimes be good, but it's also important to make something that fits within some kind of guidelines to restrict you, because restrictions are sometimes useful.
You have you think outside the box, but not so far that you go out the other box. So there's the box where you don't go by.
There's two boxes.
There is two boxes. You've got the box that kind of, I suppose, is the safety box that you need to lash out of. And then the second box you don't want to, because that's where things start to be illegal or morally wrong, and they're the box you want to stay in.
I guess so.
And I think when you're on your own, you can stay too much in that comfortable box, But when you're with two people, you can get out of that box, but hold each other back from going out of the second box too much, with too much of confidence and stuff like that.
I think you could write a book on that. I think there's an idea, that the 2-box theory.
Yeah. Well,
I haven't seen that yet.
It was on a TED Talk, so I kind of stole it. But it's a genius thing, though.
So I don't know whether that like properly answers the question, but in a way it kind of does. I think your question was too restrictive. It put me in the
Well, we've come up with the idea that the creativity. I forgot the word now. Creative differences is a negative and positive. So you need another worse thing and another positive thing working with me and with a team.
Yeah, I think I guess the downsides to working in a team would be that if you're not on the kind of same page, or you don't even have to be like fully on the same page. Yeah. But in the past, I've worked in teams that you're completely not on the same page, and there's just like clashing all the time. Whereas I think that's quite a bad thing if you're completely on like a different page and you're trying to fight for something, and then the other person's trying to fight for something completely different. But I think we're not on the same page like completely, because we've just spoken about those differences.
Yeah, you could look at it as we are on the same page, but we think differently on that page.
Yeah, so it's like two things adding together rather than two things clashing. Yeah. So I guess the worry with working in a team is that you could clash too much, and you need to figure out, I guess, what who you want to work in a team with, because in the past, I guess it's when you're kind of forced to work in a team with someone in like a work in a job kind of employment environment, then you're forced into it, and at least we've had like the chance to put ourselves into it rather than being forced to get there. So I guess that could be a potential downside, but it also works as an upside for us, I guess.
And positive?
Well, I guess...
Is there any?
I think it is just that we both think kind of the same.
You could say we both have that dream of like making this, like, I mean, we're doing it, but you know, we don't want to just be here. Like we want to keep going. More. Yeah. And because we both have that drive, that's a positive thing. When both of you have that drive, and working together, it helps you like elevate. Basically.
Yeah, I think that is one of the most important things. I think if you haven't got that, then it's hard to work with someone in a team. I think if you
work on your own and you feel a bit low, and you haven't got that person to help pick you up, that's another positive about being in a team, isn't it?
I guess in the past also we've found times when, like quite early on, when one of us has been kind of lacking in confidence, but the other person's okay. So if you were working on your own, if you were lacking in confidence, you'd just have to, you wouldn't be able to overcome it that easily. But generally, when one of us has been like down on even not just confidence, but anything else, like if one of us is lacking in a certain area, the other person probably fills that. So yeah, I guess it's just like playing on that there's two people, so we can
hope that both aren't on a downer.
Yeah, just fill in the gaps, I guess. I think that kind of brings me on to my next question, saying, what do you think is most important to you in a creative partner?
Mine would be definitely the creative clash, but a positive creative clash, so it helps develop the story. Yeah. And also the fact that when one of us is feeling down, the other one can come in there and bring in the positive back up, and vice versa. Yeah. Because I think in like when you're running your own business and that, things are always going to happen that they're gonna suck. And when you're on your own, it's quite hard to deal with them. But when you got someone else, you know, it just helps a lot. I think that's one of the beauties about being. Well, that's what it's all about, being human, isn't it? We work better together. You know, as a collective. We're not solo animals. We're communal animals. So yeah.
I think for me as well as an addition to that, it's like what we spoke about just last question about the drive. I guess if the drive doesn't match up, then it's hard to do anything, because you like striving for different things. You've got to kind of be striving for the same thing all the time, or else there's just a difference in the amount of work, the amount of effort that you're willing to put in. If one person's putting in more effort or whatever, then it's like that difference is there, and that's not ideal. So you got to be kind of seeing each other as equal, I guess, and the drive is one of the biggest factors for that, I guess, as well.
Definitely, yeah.
And like complementary roles, like it wouldn't make any sense for us both to want to be the director, because that would probably clash, and then there wouldn't be anyone to like.
Or both want to be the accountants for taxes.
Yeah, we might as well just become an accounting company. But yeah, and I guess that kind of brings me on to the next one as well. So I'll do that now as well.
You might as well.
Is there anything you think you've had to overcome to work best together?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a control freak.
It sounded like you'd pre-prepared this, like all that you've got a list in your house of all the things that.
No, this is quite easy. That's a really easy question to answer for me, because I'm a bit of a control freak, as you probably well know. So I think the biggest hardest thing for me is having the confidence to let someone else take control a bit more and stuff, which I've found obviously is a really positive thing, and being really controlling. I mean, I still have that control freak there, but yeah, that was the hardest thing at the start, I think.
Yeah, I think that's kind of similar for me as well. I think I guess because you've always got a vision of what you're wanting to do, so it's hard to do. It's hard to kind of let that vision go slightly. Yeah, but then I guess it comes down to trust, and I guess for a long while we've had to figure out how that works within the editing process and stuff, and like to actually create the best thing possible. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting, and like an ongoing thing that we have to kind of work at.
I think that's what directing or being a director kind of obviously appeals to me, because you're not in charge of everything. Well, you are in charge of everything, but obviously everyone's got their own little jobs to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my kind of control freakness going in there, that you know, the director side of it. So that's why that appeals to me a lot.
Yeah. Well, I heard a quote of from the Coen brothers, I think it was, saying that a director is the manager of tone throughout the whole of the film, which kind of I always think of, and it makes sense, because you've got to manage the tone of like the filming side of things, and manage the tone of maybe the writing as well, and the performances and everything. You got to manage so it all comes together as a cohesive piece.
And that's where my control freak happens. Like, I'm cool with like
letting someone else film it
and stuff, but the thing I'm not cool with is if it doesn't seem to go together, and that's where I'm like, I need to be a control freak to make the story work, and it just coherence work. So that's where I like to be a bit more control freak, and having to just try and not be too crazy and just bring that back. I think that's been the hardest part, but also the most, I think, positive part and like growing part as well. So that's for me easy. What about yourself, you Marzel?
I kind of think it's quite similar to that there's that. I think as well the kind of the criticism side of things, like showing someone your work and then letting them
shit.
Well, I think we try not to be as blunt as that, but also we don't sugarcoat it or anything.
No, I don't think we've ever done any crap work, but we've not.
No, we've always, like, that's probably because we've always said something before we've released anything. So to me, when you create something that's quite personal, and I think when you film or edit anything, it's always going to be quite personal, because you're basically saying that, what do you think to this edit? I've done it, like, with everything that's come from the inside of me. That's what I've put on there, and then you show it to someone else, and then they say whether, like, it's good or bad. And I think it's been interesting when I've done that with other people. It's probably not worked out as well as when like we show each other stuff. I think we can see, like, whilst we probably give the harshest criticism that I've had from other people, it doesn't seem as bad as, like, I think because we come at it from the same place, it's like that it's not...
we're not horrible to each other, we're just being honest, but like in a creative way, isn't it?
And also you can see where that's coming from, and we can generally work out a way to like get past that. Whereas when other people, when I've shown other people stuff, it's sometimes like, well, that just doesn't make any sense why you're wanting it to be like that. Whereas I think we both come at it from the same way. Like, I can see why that might make sense.
Yeah, well, it's always the story, isn't it, that they're doing it. I mean, you've never edited anything where I've just thought it was a pile of crap. Whenever you've edited anything, I thought that's really good. There's only a few little tweaks maybe once in a blue moon that I think, might help. So, yeah, I think, I'd
say we get it like 95% of the way there, and then the other person comes along and just like...
I mean, what's the point of doing something though, like, and then showing something and then like having a problem with maybe them saying maybe tweak stuff? I think like that's the whole point, isn't it? Showing someone is to say, this is what I think. Do you think anything's changing? And then at the end of the day, if it's your own personal thing, then if you don't want to change it, you don't. But I think those critiques are vital, aren't they? Really?
Yeah. I guess it's just...
It's how you go about, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and it's been like maybe challenging to put that out there, kind of thing, to the other person or to anyone to have that. So I think
the hardest critiques is when you show someone that has no kind of knowledge of the business and stuff, and put their critique in. It's quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, but that is like kind of the most important, because like we can say that it's amazing because of all the things that we know are amazing in it, but it doesn't matter if no one else
if they don't like
cares
it,
about
then
it.
It's like,
So that's sort of like, I guess we always share it between the two of us, and then we share it with other people
to my sister, and then get the harsh truth. But yeah, should I do my next question, or did you want to do another one else?
Have you got another like main question?
So if you had never met me, would you still be wanting to work in a partnership, or would you be a lone wolf? So basically, would you have just gone out on your own, or did you always think in your heart basically you want a partnership, or was it just you fell into it?
Well, I think we fell into it.
Yeah.
But I've never had much interest in doing stuff myself. Really, like doing stuff solely myself, because it just doesn't interest me that much, because all the things that I've done like on my own don't have as much like depth or like quality to it as what you can achieve with multiple people. So it's not necessarily like just the fact that I was looking for a partner or whatever. I could be looking for like a team potentially, but it doesn't interest me that much doing it on my own. So I guess we obviously fell into it and I like how that happened, because it was gradual and we didn't come in with like expectations or anything, which I think it has been important. Like some I guess some partnerships work by the fact that you're thrown into something and you have to make it work, and then that's how it works from there on in. But I think we've kind of, having both come into it quite from a point of view of kind of teaching ourselves, we've been learning together as well from that early stage. So I think...
And it all started out with us just enjoying it and wanted to make some films and not taking it too seriously at the start. I think that's what helped as well.
And I guess that's one of the kind of like important things that we need to keep on reminding ourselves, is that we need to actually enjoy all the bits of it, which can sometimes be forgotten if you're doing like something for a company or whatever,
paying the bills.
But like you've got to still enjoy what you're doing, and it's got to be still kind of the same as what you were doing when you first started out doing something. Like the first thing that we made together was where we had like a week to make a film. I think it was like 6 days or something to make a film for a competition.
Came up with the idea in like a couple of hours in the pub.
Yeah. And like, so I think from that side of it, maybe we have been kind of like thrown together with like a time, what do you call it? A time constraint on things. So I think that's kind of been part of what we do, like the time constraint. But other than that, it's been quite kind of relaxed, and I feel like we've been able to grow into different roles, and it's only kind of this year or maybe last year where we've had the more defined roles to what we're doing as we kind of
as
evolve.
we start to develop more and stuff. Yeah.
So I guess
I because of my control freakiness, I never really was looking for a partner, not like in a bad way. I just was doing things on my own, and that's why I'm so glad that we did meet and it fell into it, because like the more that, you know, I've been in a partnership and worked as a collaborative, the more I've seen, you know, the positives and the greatness of actually working together. And like you're saying, the work you can make when you've got other people on board is like so much more better than, you know, doing it on your own. Like,
I think you've got to have that balance though, because I've been working with people before, and like you allow yourself to be to have your idea changed by someone else, and then if it turns out a bit shit, then like you've got to be sure of yourself, kind of thing. So I think you've got to be aware of your own kind of skills to start off with.
Well,
but
I suppose that's where you it's all about making the good team there, though, isn't it? Because if you had an idea and you were saying it to me, and then I said let's change it like this, and you weren't happy with it, in that situation you were saying, you just have to just deal with it. But because, you know, we're like a partnership and that, you'd be like, well, no, I'm not happy with that. So then we'd spend ages trying to figure out some sort of way to making it work where we're both happy. And I think that's where like the partnership thing works. And that's why I'm glad that I didn't go off lone wolf and it was more thing, because you know, that creativity there, if you've got the right people there, then it works. I think if you've got the wrong people that are just looking out for number one too much, then I think that's when they go bad, don't they?
Yeah, and I guess that's difficult to achieve and find that other person. But should we move on to the next question now?
Yeah.
Right, so next question, how do you feel about communicating ideas within a partnership? Because I've heard the Casey Neistat thing of, he said about collaborating, to him is like you've got the idea as an ice cube, and if you pass it around too many people, then it just starts melting and going away.
Makes sense, yeah.
So, but obviously we've been talking
too much.
Yeah. But obviously we've been talking about how good kind of the collaboration of ideas is. So, yeah, how do you feel about communicating ideas, especially as a lone wolf kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I agree with Casey with that thing. So if I had a story, I would like to show it just to like a few people, like yourself and that, come up with it, develop it, and once it was at a stage where it's like, let's film it, then you'd bring other people in to help make that story. But then the story's like, already done, so they can't like change it.
So to you, it's like the level of when you communicate the idea, and establishing who's in control of it, kind of thing. I guess.
So you find the people that you work well with, have that great creative flow, can bring something good into the actual idea story. You develop it really well. Once it's developed well, you then bring other people in to help make that vision come to life. Yeah. Instead of helping you create that, make the story. It's already done. They're just coming in like lighting, DPing,
And those things are, I just find it incredible when those things do come together. When you do open it up to those people, like set design and things like that, they take it to a whole new level than what you could have done on your own. Yeah. So actually opening it up is really important. But I agree that it is difficult, and you've got to open it up to the right people at the right time to actually make it not just disappear.
Well, with that example, if you did the story and it was all set, then you got the set designs and that, you'd basically say this is the story, this is the theme, and then you let them go wild. So they've got that restraint already there.
They've got the first box,
but there's enough
the second
creativity.
Box.
Yeah,
they're in they can stray just outside the first box.
Yeah, and not too far to the second box.
Where you're stopping them on the second box.
Well, the law is stopping them on the second box. I want them to come out of the first box a little bit, but not too much to the story to disappear.
But then it's your job to make sure it's all serving the story and everything.
So there's a third box in between the two boxes,
and that's you.
Yeah, that's me.
You are the third box, but you're the third box is inside the second box, but outside the first box.
Yeah. So it's a bit confusing. That one can expand depending on the confidence you have with that person. I guess as the more and more you have a relationship with someone, the more the third box can grow. Yeah.
That's why I think we quite like to collaborate with people on a regular basis. Or
our sound design, like my box is quite high with him, like because we've worked with him, we've seen the greatness. Yeah. You kind of know what's going to happen when you're like, this is the kind of idea and stuff, and then you can just let him get on with it, kind of thing. Yeah. I've now forgotten exactly.
Well, it was just, how do you feel about communicating? So you answered that.
Yeah, I like doing it. I love it. I love that, but I like to make sure that there's a few people first, so that with the example case says that the ice cube isn't melted too much and it's diluted, and then the whole story, the whole thing's just gone. And then those too many chefs spoil the broth, as they say. And
then there's that core people that can then keep going and spread it out and out and out until it gets to.
Or you can add more people in, and they can help in a way, but they don't have as much control as the core bit.
So not everyone's going in that core. That's circles then. So there's the core circle, and then there's the further outside circles.
It's like a neutron with its or whatever it is. What's it? A cell with neutrons going around. I don't know.
Then you can join on.
We're making it too complicated now. But yeah.
So also, what area do you think we've evolved most over our time working together? What do you think's like improved? Or
I think our positions. So you're DP, I'm director. Obviously, we cross over stuff. So I think having those in a spot, I think's helped a lot. I think just experience, just from what we've been doing in that, it helps in that. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah. So it's more like kind of role based, and the fact that we've got defined things that we kind of do, and then I guess it lets us not need to worry ourselves with what the other person's doing on set, because
you just get on with your part and get on. Because I think that's where you've got a certain skill. And yes, you can do other things and you have those skills, but you have one main skill, and it's best for you to focus on that, and then let other people focus on those other skills that you're okay with, but they're really good at, kind of thing. And that's why working together as a creative team is so great. Yeah. Obviously, I enjoy working on my own from time to time, but team stuff's always great. Yeah. Do you want my last question is kind of a wrap up? A kind of good kind of end question. So if you've got more questions you want to answer, or if you're on your last question now or whatever.
I've got a couple of kind of wrapping up kind of questions as well. So I'll do one and then you do your wrapping up. So what piece of work are you most proud of that we've created? What do you think's been the pinnacle of what we've done? Was it the first thing that we did and we've never beat?
Well, I really enjoyed that. I think the the comedy documentary thing we did was a kind of like, okay, this is cool. I can see definitely us working together really well. And
I think we've done such a varied style of things that we've not necessarily beaten some of the things that we've done in the past because we've not tried that style again. We've not done too much narrative stuff. So the narrative stuff that we've done is still kind of quite high up. But in terms of documentary type stuff, I guess we've done more of that kind of thing. So,
but I think my favourite thing we've done I can remember on top of my head at the moment is the music video for Explorers. I just really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And I just really liked how long it took us to come up with a story. Not like because we were rubbish, but just the fact that we proper like really went to town to get it, spot on, and really thought about the song, the message they wanted to go with, the whole album art, how that was all going to work together.
I guess that's like it felt even better because of having kind of the year previous doing mostly kind of corporate stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't as much planning.
We did a bit of storyboarding. We did location scouting. We got like actors or models, or and we had other extras and that there. We did a whole one indoors, so in a like a filming stage place. We lit it certain ways. We had smoke machines. It just there's just a lot of stuff there, a lot of things, and that's what I really loved about it. It felt big, and then just as having a camera going and documenting something or doing something corporate, it was more like, I don't know. I guess as that control freak, we had that massive control over everything.
I think when you're filming an event, which is kind of the opposite to that, you film as much as you can get, kind of form a kind of half story in your head, and try and create that. But then the most of the story is happening in the edit, whereas for the Explorers video, most of the story was happening, well, all of the story was happening before. We knew exactly what was going to be put in what place when we were planning. So the story's done in pre-production, kind of more typically where it should be done, kind of. So I guess that's the complete opposite. So,
and can I add that to the question? What I'm really looking forward to doing in the future is something like that, but as like a short film, but getting a writer on board and collaborating with the writer. So going, this is our idea, here you go, script writer, make it a reality, and when bouncing off and off from them, and then getting that nice story, and then doing all the location scouting and things like that, or getting people on board to help and that kind of stuff. So
that was kind of
that felt like the first kind of proper thing towards that, where there was proper, because I don't know.
And that's kind of that's what our goal was right from the start of working together. I think that's why we started off with this competition type drama or narrative thing. So that's kind of where we wanted to start from initially. So I guess that's why it felt so good to be working towards that.
There's another one I liked. I liked doing Isabelle Puli, but the reason I liked about that was kind of like just out of the kind of blue, just like thinking on the seat of your pants kind of thing. It was kind of like you found this woman that we could film. That was for a competition as well, wasn't it? We've got to go and do it tomorrow. Boom, we've got to go and do it. Kind of just thinking on the spot. So that not only did we've had the planning side done, but we've had the run and gun, taking those skills from planning, but being able to do it in real time, kind of there on the go, and that turned out really well as well.
I think mine are quite similar. I've liked some of the things that we've filmed. Well, I've liked them all, but I've liked as my favourite kind of thing, I've liked some of the things that we filmed kind of last year, more of the event type things where the story does come together. I think they've been really enjoyable in the edit to see what comes together. But I think the Explorers thing was the highlight because it was something a bit more to tackle kind of thing, more to think about, more to pull together before, when I guess just because it was our goal for so long, and also it's completely different to the rest of the stuff that we did last year kind of thing.
And with that one, it was definitely director DP. Whereas when you're doing corporate event work, it's kind of more
one-man
band / coming together, talking, discussing, planning a bit, off doing bits and bobs. So it's not as defined then, is it?
So I'd kind of agree with that. I think you touched on is yours a good a good ending question because I've got another kind of right. We'll do that.
Do
then.
Yours, or did you want to save that some other time or something?
No, I was gonna say in terms of creativity, how do you feel about where we are now, and what are your creative goals? So you kind of said what the goal is.
So my creative goal and where we are now. I think we're
how do you feel about?
I feel we're in a good spot, and I feel the goal, we're in a good spot to get that goal happening. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to next year because I think that's when the short film that we want to do will come more into reality. Whereas this year I see it a bit more as planning, kind of stages and stuff.
I think we spoke about this before, didn't we? Because when we were asked to rate where we are now, like out of 10 or whatever, you went higher, I went lower. So, and what did you say about going higher, and I'll say about what
I can't remember now.
I think you went for like a kind of high number to give you more encouragement to push forward kind of thing.
It was because of how I see what happening in the future. So where we are, I see that the future, there's some good stuff that's going to happen, so I'm rating us higher as opposed to really kind of the stage we're at now.
I'd go lower, which would encourage me to push harder. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's kind of the both sides of it, which I guess is quite good for us to have in a partnership. Those two things, because I feel like I'm always going to be a bit not as happy with where we are because I always want to do more and more and more, which is probably quite useful. And
I'm like,
for you to say that,
I'm like, we should do more, but it's chill as well.
Yeah, say that we're in a good position to give us a bit of encouragement. So I guess that makes sense for us both to have those qualities.
Cool. All right, I'll say my
last question then.
We've kind of already talked about it maybe, but I think it's a good wrap up. So where do you think our roles will be, and how do you see the working relationship and business being like in the future?
I think that our roles are quite well defined on shoot days. I'd like to see us expand into having more people to work with on the DP side, and then more people for you to kind of direct on the directing side, because at the moment you've been directing actors and directing like me kind of the camera in the way that the director would rather than the way that the DP would. But then I think it'd be interesting for us to evolve into like me then having kind of a bit of a team to help in the creation of the vision for doing that, and then for you to have more people to work with kind of story in pre-production, but then also like props, like makeup and things like that, set design. But then I think we've still got a way to go, even the two of us, in the pre-production side of things and in the post-production side of things, with regard to knowing what suits us best. I think we've kind of figured out and nailed what is the production roles, but then everything else is still a bit vague. So I'd say in the future we'll nail down exactly what we want to be doing, how much we'll have control over on the kind of writing side of things, and then the edit as well. I guess it's always going to be partly we're always going to have to, on a lot of projects, take control of one person take control of the edit, and then the other person top it up the extra 5-10%. But then it'll be interesting to see how that works with like a short film kind of thing, like we're planning for next year, and also whether we then involve a separate editor and things like that at some stage. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves. But yeah, I see us being more defined in the pre and post areas, and just expanding our production areas, I guess. How about you?
Yeah, I think I agree. Really, I like exactly what you said. In terms of business wise, what do you think in terms of future business wise? Because I hate the accounting side and all that kind of stuff. So do you see us having to share that, or we would find someone else to do that more? Or
yeah, I think we probably need some help in that area, and as well, just when we get more into the actual making of the films, then that would kind of free us up a bit more to concentrate on those areas. And I'm more of the one that's less, that can actually do numbers and letters as well. So maybe we should explain that you're dyslexic.
Yeah, I'm dyslexic.
So then, I think I'm most suited to do it at the moment. But in terms of like evolving on, I think it would be beneficial to find another kind of team member to work with on that side of things, just to free us up a bit and just to make things run a bit smoother, I guess. But I'm not sure how that will actually look in reality. I guess things have to be led by the film side of things, and then we see what happens with the business side of things, because we started off making films, we didn't start off making a business necessarily. So it's kind of has to be led by that, which is maybe a bit of the backward way to do it. But I guess in film, it makes sense for us to have to have that at the forefront of everything. So yeah, I'd say we'd have to evolve that in some way at some point. So don't worry yourself.
I'm worrying.
We'll figure out a way that you don't have to do numbers.
Yeah, that's it then, really, isn't it? I don't think there's anything else, unless there's something else you think.
Yeah, I guess. Is there any tips that you'd give to anyone for if they were considering whether to get into a team or whether to...
Yeah, I think have a play with that person first in a non-sexual way, and like have it more casual at the start, and just see how you get on with it and stuff before you make proper commitments and stuff. If you're quite a control freak like me, don't be afraid to let loose a bit. You'll find that doing that will be, you'll see benefits and positivity to it more than the fear that you have.
And I guess try and make it be one of those short time frame kind of jobs as well, whether it be like a 48-hour challenge
definitely.
or a week-long thing like we did, because you'll need to know what someone's willing to do in that week. Because
if you don't ever put time limits on things, then sometimes something will never happen. So yeah, definitely.
And see how people react when there's not that much time to make something.
Yeah, if they are like panic like mental, then
and not being able to get anything done.
I think that's what's quite good about us. We're very chilled. We're like, we've got to do this film in 2 days. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, we don't waste any time worrying about it.
Just get on with it, no? Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say likewise, just do something with someone first, and
don't be afraid to
see what
fail.
happens.
I think.
Yeah.
You know that you got to learn. You've got to learn somehow, and if you're too afraid to fail, then you'll never learn. You know, the best way you can learn is from your mistakes and watching YouTube videos.
Yeah, just watch a load of YouTube videos. Yeah, and do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Gotta do. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed our discussion. Let us know what you think.
If you've got any questions about working creatively on your own or in a partnership, let us know, and we might make a new video about that subject.
Cheers for watching.